So here I am on the farm in my parents' place in Kentucky, and I didn't want to bring a lot of heavy equipment or anything. I'm just doing this little vlog here. And I'm sure you're in a situation also a lot of times where you don't need your big heavy cameras. I've got all these full frame cameras and cinema cameras, and that's what most people want to use to impress you on YouTube. But there are times like this where you don't need big, fancy, heavy cameras, and you just want to take something small and do a little vlog like I'm doing now. We've all got, like, I'm sure most people have a little cheap camera sitting around that they haven't used for years. It's just sitting there. It's all lonely. It's collecting dust in the corner because it's a smaller sensor. It's like a, micro four thirds or a 1-inch or even an APS-C camera. Because all you've been using lately is your brand new big giant full frame camera. Well, that little lonely guy sitting there collecting dust wants some love too. So here's my challenge for you. Grab that little camera and go on a trip with nothing but that little tiny camera, and you might have forgotten how to use it. Reacquaint yourself with it. Force yourself to use nothing but that little camera on that trip. And that's all you're going to use, and you might have to spend the first day learning it again, relearning it, reacquainting yourself, and challenge yourself to learn the basics of photography again. You can do great stuff with anything if you know how to use it. On this trip, I took a couple of really cheap, they're Panasonic Lumix GX850s. I have two of them, one for a wide shot and one for the close-up shot. They're really cheap. They're mainly made for video. They're not really for picture taking, but I did take some pictures with it. It doesn't have a viewfinder. The screen on the back isn't that great, but it's good enough to get the job done. Especially if you use a loop that turns the screen on the back kind of into an eyepiece, which I made a video about. Yeah, I'll put the link down below for that. But here's some pictures I took with this thing. Look at this cheap little camera. I took these pictures with it, and I think these turned out pretty good. I had my mom holding the reflector. This was just a quick thing. There's no fancy anything. Just out on the farm, sitting on a fence, taking some pictures with a cheap little micro four thirds camera. And for lighting, I also had a couple of portable Stella CLX lights. The two main lenses I use is an Olympus 17mm 1.2 for wide-angle shots, and a Sigma 56 1.8 for the close-ups. It's a lot more fun when you keep things simple. And of course, you have somebody like Kara. We also filmed one of Kara's workout videos with this camera. Once I got it dialed in, it turned out pretty darn good. Some of the stuff looks so 3D. The background's nice and blurry. And remember, this is micro four thirds. I mean, this is a cheap little camera. It's a tiny little cheap consumer camera, but look at the pictures you can take with this thing. It's pretty good. Just taking your time to learn this stuff can give you some really great results with a cheap little camera. And it started looking especially 3D at night when the sun started going down, because I was white balanced for the spotlight, so the background turned out this nice cool blue. And this isn't even 4K. This camera can do 4K, but it overheats after a few minutes. So I shot everything in 1080p, and it looks amazing in 1080p. Look at this stuff. So all you gotta do is take some time to learn your cameras. You can do great stuff with simple little inexpensive cameras that other people laugh at and don't take seriously. You can take great video and great pictures with just about anything if you just take the time to learn it. This is my challenge to you. Grab the little tiny lonely camera that's sitting in your corner collecting dust, pick it up, relearn it, and force yourself to use nothing but that for a weekend or a getaway trip. And don't have a backup camera, because then you'll start cheating. So I suggest you just take that one camera or two of the same camera like I did and just relearn it. I notice the best time for me to just relax and learn something or relearn something is the first day I'm on vacation and I'm there and I've got nothing to do and I'm totally relaxed and I can go, okay, buddy, let's reacquaint ourselves. And that's what I do. The first time I'm there, the first day, I do a little test shoot, sit there, maybe even read the manual again. And then you go do, and then you readjust and you learn and you find stuff. You go out again, maybe later that afternoon or the next day. And then you start getting more serious. Everybody's got like a little pocket camera sitting in the corner, just sitting there, and it's lonely. And you might wonder, well, what are you shooting this behind the scenes with? I always have my little DJI Osmo Action as the behind the scenes camera, but that doesn't count. I'm actually taking this video and these pictures with only the GX850. And that's what you should do. Challenge yourself to only take one camera, and you have to force yourself to only use that camera. No matter what the situation is, you got to figure out. And each camera has limitations. This camera does not have a flash shoe, so I cannot do flash photography with it. So I have to use reflectors, which I'm doing right now. I've got Kara over here on a ladder with a reflector. And that, you know, you find ways around it. You make it work. You be resourceful. And that's the fun of photography, is having challenges and figuring out ways to move around those challenges and get creative with what you have. It's not as much fun when you have a camera that does everything. It takes super sharp pictures at 300 megapixel size, and it does full autofocus and it follows you around. I mean, that's great, but there's something about having a little bit of a creative challenge that makes photography more fun. And I know people say, well, yeah, but these older cameras, they have focus breathing and stuff. I don't care. So there's a bit of focus breathing. So what? I personally don't care. I always say, if the video's interesting, if you like what the guy's saying and you like the scenery, you're like, who cares if the background's going in and out a little bit? I personally don't care, and I think there's people out there that are not that uptight that don't care either. If you're enthralled with the video, if you're sucked into what the guy's saying, so what? There's a bit of focus breathing. Oh my God. You know, people get so hung up on the stupid little details, and they forget about the joy of photography. I like seeing some imperfections and stuff. You know, it's the heart and the soul of it that matters, not the slick perfection of it and how many megapixels somebody has. Anyway, so that's my challenge for for you guys. Try this, and I think you'll find you'll have some fun with it. When you go on a hike, take a little pocket camera that you haven't used in years. I mean, you can take a weekend getaway, or you go on vacation to some place that's not that important. Like, it's not like halfway around the world on some exotic island or something. Then I take my big fancy stuff. But for something like this, on my mom's farm, where it's not really a big deal, take a little camera. Take the little guy down there. He's all lonely. He's fading away. He's got dust on him. Brush it off and use nothing but that, and enjoy yourself with the little guy that just wants some love and attention. And as for the GX850, I've got 3 of them. I'll give 2 of them away at marcuspics.giveawayenter.com. So I hope this inspired you in some way. Just keep it simple. Always keep it simple. That makes it more fun. Lightweight, tiny, really small, simple. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Until then, have a great week.